Hi, welcome back to the Garden Path. I'm Christine Paxia, your host, and today we have a guest who's a Principal Master Gardener, Christine Horvath, owner of Yellow Truck Gardens out of Uxbridge, Mass. And it's finally a nice day, so we don't have a rain delay. I feel like the Boston Red Sox, but today we're going to talk to you about pruning. We'll talk to you about tools, which tools to use for which type of plant. We will talk about timing, and we will talk about technique. So right now we're going to dive into tools. And Christine, what is your favorite go-to tool for pruning?
I have two. I do all of my pruning by hand. Even the largest that I'll do is about a 4-inch caliper. But usually I'm using these. I'm using my bypass pruners, clippers. These are wonderful. You can see how much flexibility. A lot of people use, are we allowed to talk about brands?
You can.
Okay. A lot of people use Felco. It is the, they're the gold standard, if you will. But I find that when I have these and I'm doing literally hundreds of cuts a day, I want something smaller and better for my own self. So choose ones that you like. Spending $50 to $60 is not a big deal if you're going to do it routinely. But you can certainly, if it's something you only do occasionally, I would spend less.
And there are tools that are designed for a smaller hand,
yes,
especially Felco, so you can get a different number. And as Christine said, get something that's comfortable in your hand.
Yeah.
Now, with a pruner like this, how wide is the widest that you should think about when you're cutting a branch?
1/2 to 3/4 at the most. Once you start going past 1/2, you start, so my finger, I know, but once you start going past 1/2, you're going to get sloppy with your cuts.
Okay.
So you should definitely go with your next tool up. Okay.
So what's the next tool up?
Next tool up. Okay. I actually have two now. These are small saws, as you can see, and you have an even smaller one. These are extremely sharp saws. And the whole idea is to be able to fit into a notch. So again, to fit into this notch here without hurting the rest of the tree or shrub.
Okay.
Okay. Ready for next up?
We are.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
This is my next up tool. Okay. This is a lovely tool. They're not that expensive. And I recommend if you're going to be cutting anything above 2 inches, you really should get one of these. So this is just a standard pruning saw. This is brand new. Yeah, I am. I'm very eager to use it. Because again, I won't go to a chainsaw unless I'm doing a major renovation. So typically I'm pulling this out.
Okay.
Okay.
Very sharp.
Very sharp. Notice the sheath, and you have one as well.
And it's got a nice curve, so you can.
Yes. So you really just, you place it right on there. Again, I'm cutting myself, but you place it right on there. It's a nice snug fit, and it cuts on the pull.
You can insert the Norman Bates music right there.
There's yours.
Here's my saw.
Yours is straight.
Mine's a little dainty one. I always keep this on it because I'm afraid that I will draw blood. But it's very sharp, and it's done well by me.
Yes.
And I'll cut a branch around that diameter.
So 2 to 3, yeah.
2 to 3.
Yeah. Sometimes I get them where they're just really big, and I need to do that. So one of the things that we didn't talk about were these.
Loppers?
These are loppers. Okay. And until recently, these were the go-to after your small hand pruners. But that's really changed a lot as the development of a nice small saw like this has come forward. Because these tend to get a little sloppy, you might get a rip, something like that. However, if you're just taking a tree down, or really lowering the size of it, I tend to use my lopper, lop, and then come back and do the fine tuning here. So they're definitely a good tool to use. Again, can I, just overall on tools, I like what I like. Get something that you enjoy using because you're going to use it often. if you enjoy using it. Get something that's comfortable. These are, I don't know about yours, but these are, you know, a bit heavy, but they work very, very well. Whereas these are all.
What brand is this?
This is, these are A.M. Leonard.
A.M. Leonard is a garden tool catalog. They have quite the assortment.
They do.
And everything you need would be
Yes.
on that catalog.
Yes. But a lot of my tools I go with weight because I'm not a big burly guy, and I like things smaller and more comfortable because I'm using them all day long. So I have one more tool that you do not have.
Oh. Need a haircut?
Yes. So these are hedge shears. Okay. And I use these. These have not been cleaned this year. These are Barnell's. And I use these, well, right now for cutting back grasses, for cutting back perennials, and also for using as shears on boxwoods, hollies, things like that, sparingly.
Okay.
I do not use, what you do not see here is a power tool. You do not see a set of hedge trimmers that you plug in or that you put gas in. I don't use them. I prefer to use them by hand. It takes a little more time, but I feel that the results are well worth it.
Well, very good.
Okay.
Well, there's also a little bit of tool safety.
Yes.
And always put on your very fashionable safety glasses. And if you're pruning roses,
Yes.
rose gloves made out of lamb's leather, and these can be found in
Anywhere.
any garden center. I
Or
got
suede.
mine on Amazon, and that way when the little buggers are really mean rose bushes, you're covered.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Always have to have these.
thank you for the demonstration
Sure.
on tools. Now
Okay.
let's go
Do
out
some
on a
work?
limb.
Okay.
We're standing in front of a very overgrown holly bush, and it has zero shape to it. It's up against the house, and it could use a really good haircut. So Christine, looking at this, where would you start?
Well, the first thing I would do is start back here against the house. We need to get it off a good 12 inches. It's actually a simple process.
Okay.
Just taking that back. It's going to take a little time, but it'll be fine.
Okay, because
Okay.
you want to determine your goal for a shrub like this.
Yes.
What kind of shape are you going for? Are you going for a rounder shape? It'll never be a cone, so get that thought out of your minds. But we can tidy it up so that it's a little nicer to look at.
Okay.
Hello. And one thing a lot of people do is they make the mistake of just snipping the tips. But when you're pruning, you sort of want to start in the middle.
Yes.
But as Christine mentioned, she's getting it off the house. There are some pretty big branches back there that don't be afraid to cut. Go for it.
Especially with a holly. A holly is very generous. It grows back usually very quickly. As you shape it, it likes to keep that shape, which is really nice. Okay.
And she gets to use her new saw, so she's
I know.
pretty excited.
Here you go.
Wow, that was pretty quick. Too bad it's not the holiday season, Christmas or whatever, for wreath making, because these would be really nice.
Totally agree. So that was, yes. Okay, so moving on to the shaping.
Okay.
On this particular plant, there's very little dead. Sometimes with a holly, it shades itself out, and so you'll have a lot of dead on the underneath or on the inside. This one is very healthy, which is great. So we don't have to do that, but that would be one of the first things that we do. So secondly now, I'm standing here in part so you see how these extra pieces are so far out, okay? So this is why I have multiple tools. I don't need the big one. I need the clips first. Okay, that was a simple cut. And you can see, I think, how much nicer it is immediately.
She's a real cut up, huh?
Okay, immediately you can see this side is already taking a really nice shape. Okay, so now if I go back over here, I need my next size up because this guy is big. Getting into a little detail, I can cut it just off the top. In this particular case, it's crossing over. There's lots of other healthy stuff. I'm going to bring it way back. Okay, so I'm bringing it way down to the next major limb.
Now you can't see it, but she's cutting close to the main limb. And she's not making a cut like here so that you have a stick at the end sticking out. So it's pretty flush with a clean cut because she's got nice sharp tools.
I'm going to take this too.
She's going to town.
There we go. Okay, so again, you see how much better the shape looks, I hope. I hope you go back and rewind and see what it looked like before, and even just those few cuts, 5 minutes worth, has already changed the look of it significantly, and I think it looks a lot better.
Now what I'm seeing is, see that stick
This.
right there?
Yes.
When she removed that green that was hiding it, that would be something that you'd cut off too.
Yes. And to be honest, I tend to be a long-term pruner, which means that sometimes I'm just thinking more than this season. So in this case, I'm going to come down this far and really hide this cut, and whoop, there we go. And also the look. So this is going to grow back nice and healthy. Now I've got one more right in front of me. This guy right here, can you see that? So it's very dark. It doesn't look healthy to me, and it's growing from the base. So I'm going to go all the way down and take that out. You see this a lot in roses where there's not a heck of a lot going on. It just kind of sticks out. It's a sucker, if you will. Okay. So for now, that's good for this plant.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's a preliminary demonstration on a gangly looking holly that you can, just by taking off a couple of overgrown large limbs, it's changed the shape already. And another thing, when things are close to your home, it serves as like a hiding place for animals. So animals can kind of burrow under, get under there, and you want to eliminate those hiding places. So another good reason to get anything off of your home. There she's going. Right, this is a good time of year to prune roses. It's early April. You can actually do it in March, but we were rained out, so we didn't get to film in March. So here we are now, but it's still a good time. And we're standing in front of a knockout rose, which is a shrub rose, blooms all the time. And there are a couple things to think about when you start. You want to get rid of everything dead, any stems that are crossing over, and anything that's diseased. So you can see Chris is armed with her gloves. And which tool are you going to use on these things?
Most of it I will use the pruners, but I also have my small saw for getting in and pulling a couple of these down.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
have at it.
All right. So there's a lot of dead on here. Unfortunately, this is not unusual. One thing I will say is that for rose lovers, treat this type of rose, any of the knockouts, like a shrub. Okay. Follow the general rose tactics, but really treat it like a shrub, which means that you can cut it way, way back, and it actually likes it. It grows back very quickly. So some of the things that I'm looking for are the browned wood. This is obviously last year or the year before's growth. I'm just going to cut it right here. And more so, just as much as any other plant, or more so, you always want to cut at an angle so that water doesn't seep up too much and hold up in that one spot, okay? All right, so there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of dead here at the bottom. Now, Christine said she cut these back, and I would go even further and cut them pretty much to the ground, and just really get them out of the way.
And with a knockout rose, you can take it down, as Chris said, by a substantial amount.
Yeah.
And I think last year I took it down by a third or even more. I just kept cutting because this thing was 3 times the size as it is now. It came back and it bloomed all summer long without fail.
Yeah. My experience tells me that while we like the size of this, it's a little bit crazy. So after we go through and cut the dead and crossing, etc., which we don't have time to do it all right now, then we're going to attack a piece like this, okay? This is nice, it's on the outside, but for me, and I have permission from the owner, I'm going to cut it way back. So I'm looking at the buds that are coming out, okay, and I'm cutting it just above the bud at an angle. And that's what I'm going to do pretty much all over the place, is just find those buds that I like. This piece is dead. Oh, this whole thing is dead. And really, really prune it back. Gets a lot of the legginess out. The other thing with roses is that you want the growth to be on the outside. You don't want a lot in the middle. So even if this one wasn't mostly dead, I'm just going to make a small cut here. You want to get this out of the center. That allows more to go inside, a lot more sunshine. That's what they're looking for. So again, this giant piece, it looks like, oh, I could cut it up here. I could cut all these little ones off like this, and you'd have this nice, but I really don't want to. I really want to rejuvenate this plant, and I'm going all the way down here. Okay, this one will go too.
Chris mentioned when a branch is crossed, so if a branch touches, that's when you want to eliminate one of them.
Yeah, yeah, in this case,
so see
the dead one.
There are a few of them sort of intersecting
Yes.
with each other.
Yes, the stuff out here is nice though.
Yeah.
Even though I'm still going to go down and pull it all off. And then you have one like this. This is pretty much a sucker, or nearly. You can see absolutely no growth from the bottom all the way up to it finally has some branching at the top. So again, I'm not really thrilled with this one. Ow, I'm going to get it out of there.
I told you they're mean.
Yeah, I usually have blood at the
Oh.
end. All right, so again, I can spend another about 10 minutes on this and really get it all cleaned up for you. All right.
Now that the snow has melted, we're standing in front of a row of Steed's holly. This should have been a shrub, but the weight of the snow sort of took care of that and turned it into a mess. So we're going to give it a hard prune now, and to bring it back to a shape that's actually nice, it's going to take a couple of years. So we will start by lopping off some in the middle, and then Christine will show you what to do later, or tell you what to do later.
Now, the Steeds actually do grow nice and tall, and they tend to be more upright. So what we're doing seems like it's wrong, but there's so much damage to the top that, again, we're rejuvenating the whole plant. So we're cutting off some of these big ones here. Oh, that's a tight angle. And that's why we have the little tiny one. Very tight. Go ahead.
So the Steed's holly looks a lot like a boxwood, but you would not do this with a boxwood in April or May. When would you prune a boxwood?
If you're pruning if you're pruning out dead, yes, you can do it now. But if you're pruning for real shaping, wait till the full flush of the spring growth has come out, which is usually May, possibly early June. Then you see tons and tons of the lighter green on it. That's when you really want to go in and shape, okay? And sometimes use the head shears.
Okay.
Head shears.
Those.
No.
I think I said a dirty word.
I think you did. I think you did. Okay. And there's already some really nice growth coming up here as well.
That. I don't know if you can't see in the camera, but that will fill in eventually. But you can see how much she's taken off.
Yeah. Don't be afraid.
Don't.
This will also need quite a bit of pruning back here and really bringing it in to, again, keep that more upright shape rather than rounded. Remember, know your plant, okay? You put these in, you know that they're, it's actually a great spot for them. And you know how they grow, so I can't get that one. There we go.
And you notice when she's making the cut, she's cutting at a juncture. She's not just snipping the tips.
No.
Because every time you snip at a tip, it's going to go in a few different directions.
Right. And actually, I'd like to show that as a pro tip in a little bit. Okay. So this, again, will take quite a bit of time, but already we're seeing a little bit better look to the plant as we go. This will require us to really get in there and pull it all. Got this much to do. That's another one. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot here.
It's all up against the fence. It was weighted heavily against with the snow.
Yep. But this will go back really nicely. Now I'm seeing some dead, so definitely going to attack those as well.
So some things that to prune now, which is April, are Steed's holly. You don't want to prune anything that's about to flower right now, like a forsythia, a lilac. If you want to keep those spring blooms, don't prune those now.
Right.
Wait till they flowered, and then you can go in and prune. Rhododendron is another spring blooming. You could cut out all the dead that's in the plant.
Yes.
But you might want to wait till after they flower so that you can go in and give it a shaping. And use the same theory that she did with the holly. Start from the middle and work your way around. And determine what shape you want. So you make a cut from the middle, step back and look and see, do I like that? How's it looking?
Right.
Any other things that they could prune now besides roses, Steed's holly?
So unfortunately, and this happens sometimes in spring, is now we've jumped into warmer weather. So it's something that you would have pruned if we had recorded 3 weeks ago.
Right. That was March. That would have been March.
You know, like a weeping cherry, for example. If the buds are starting to open, you're done. You shouldn't do them because again, you'll cut one and you'll get 5 out of it. So that's not good. I wanted to talk about a pro tip.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's it for the Steed's holly.
I'll just do a quick pro tip for you. Can you see okay? All right. One of the things that you might be saying to yourself is how she's doing this very quickly. I do it all the time. That's one thing. But I also learned a tip, and it works very well when you're using your pruners, and that is you want to get a really nice tight connection where the collar is, as I'm showing you here. And how you can do that is literally slide it down into place and clip, and you get a really nice tight cut that way. Okay, and it does allow you, try not to use the tips, it does allow you to really get in there and get a nice cut. Okay? Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, we hope you learned a little bit today on pruning and know to be armed when you're dealing with a nasty rose bush. We didn't bloody up our guests. So
Not yet.
Thank you to Christine for
All right.
coming. And if you have any questions about today's episode or if you'd like additional tips, email us at miltongardenpath@gmail.com. And Christine can be found at Yellow Truck Gardens out of Uxbridge, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay.